What's up, guys? Welcome to the Comeback Athlete Podcast. I am doing a solo this week. Connor has been really busy and doing awesome stuff. He's got some cool stuff coming up in his career that he'll speak on here soon. And I didn't have a guest for this week. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue our podcast history, going through what eating healthy looks like for really busy individuals. And so in particular for today, we're going to talk about healthy eating on the move, navigating restaurants, takeout, and travel, right? And this is just kind of a big one for a lot of clients I've worked with. So there's 4 key principles. I'm going to keep it short today that I kind of go through. And one is to focus on calories first. So if you do this, you'll mitigate damage. So what does that look like? It means I need to know a real good rough estimate of where I need to be on my calories and stick to that. And if I can get more precise by trying to log, that's even better. But we'll talk about hacking that. Number 2, prioritizing high protein meals. So focusing on just each meal, I'm getting some sort of protein. We'll talk about how to do that and also why that's extremely important. Number 3, choose nutritionally dense meals. And then number 4, include high fiber foods. And we'll kind of nail that in here in a minute, okay? So let's go back to the first one. So focus on calories. So you're going to the airport, right? Let's say, just to keep math simple, I know that I need to eat 2,000 calories to stay at maintenance. And my goal is that I'm just trying to get home and make sure that I didn't put on the extra 3 pounds of water weight and bloating, right? Just trying to stay good, feel good, and keep my routines. When I get to the airport, or if I'm going out to eat because I just got through the airport and landed wherever I'm going, right? I'm looking for something that is going to not be so high in calorie that I'm going to kill all of my calories in one meal. So a good example of this is I'm not going to go eat a ton of pizza because pizza is just high calorie. What I could do instead is I'm going to go get a Chipotle rice bowl, right? And I could eat that rice bowl depending on what I get in it and what I put on my rice bowl. I get that to be 500, 600, 700 calories. Where, right, 2 slices of pizza won't fill me up nearly as much, but that would be around 700 calories right there. The Chipotle meal will actually fill me up much more, and that will be more calorie dense, which we'll get to in a minute. So here's a couple tips, right? Find something that's going to be more calorie dense to stay within your calories. Number 2, if you're a tracking person and you really like, I'm a big fan of Chronometer, you can try to do rough estimates of how many servings you're getting and stick to that. But before you even travel, you really, really need to know how many calories you should be getting. And there's some simple ways to do this to get a rough start. One would be, if you know your BMR, you want to add 10% for the thermo effect of food. All right, that's the burning part of the digestion system that burns calories. And we'll touch that more in a second. You want to then add in how much movement you're going to be doing. So if I'm sitting in conferences all day, my NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is going to be pretty low. So I would start around 250 for that. If I'm a very stagnant person for most of the day. If I'm high moving, I'm the mail lady who is walking through the neighborhood all day and I'm getting 15,000 steps, then I'm going to have my non-exercise activity be a little bit higher. I'll give myself 500 extra calories. So let's say I know my BMR, my basal metabolic rate is, let's say, 1,500 kcal, right? I'm going to add 150 for the thermo effect of that food. That's roughly where we start. I'm going to add either around 250 to 500 for my non-exercise activity, depending on how much movement I get. High movement, 500, low movement, probably roughly 250. And then exercise. So if I am exercising, right, if it's an intense workout, I'm going to go 500. If I'm not exercising or it's a low intensity exercise, I'm going to do 250. And then that would be my maintenance calories. So if you know that, right, so if it's 1,500 for, I'm giving some really rough estimates here, but 1,500 for my BMR, 150 plus that, right? So now we're at, 1,700. So then we go up, let's say, another 500 calories for I'm moving a lot. We're going to be walking around the city a lot. I'm going to be getting about 10 to 15,000 steps in. 500 for that. And then I'm going to go up another 500 because I'm going to go find a local gym and get an intense workout in. So we went from 1,700. Now we added 1,000 to that. So my maintenance calories should be 2,700 calories. If I stay at that, I should hypothetically not put any weight on. Now, here's the deal. The lower quality the food, which we'll move into coming up, both protein and in our second part, our third part, quality of food and nutritional value is low, what's going to happen is you can have some inflammation. So we see a ton of people with kind of that puffy gut. There are people who might work out, but it just looks like they have like almost a beer belly. What that is there's a lot of inflammation, and that can be caused from lots of things. It can be caused from having too many, processed sweeteners in your diet. There's a ton of artificial sweeteners in energy drinks, in lattes and coffees and things like that, that if you have a lot of that, they can cause irritation. Number two, it could be that you have too many particular carbohydrates in your diet that are drawing a lot of water into your lower intestines, and that's causing irritation. Number three, you might actually have a food allergy and not know it. You might have some lactose issues. You might have some gluten intolerance. You might have other things. Here's the deal. I don't mean to overwhelm anybody, but this is just a journey of learning what works for your body. And the only way you do that is you do it like a scientist. You use experimental things to get your knowledge of your body and what works well with you. There is no perfect diet for one individual. We're all different people with different DNA, come from different backgrounds, and have different reactions to foods. Same thing with workout plans. For some people, they do high volume and they just blow up and get huge muscles. Other people, they do high volume and it just doesn't do anything for them. They got to go really heavy and low reps and they blow up and get big muscles. Some people do better with interval training. Some people do better with long aerobic training. We have really good data of what most people do well on, but a lot of it is also just learning what works best for someone over time. And so that's where individualization comes in. Same thing with your diet, right? So we're going to prioritize high protein meals on top of knowing your calories. And the reason for this is high protein meals will be higher satiating and lower calorie. They will also, on top of the anti-bloating that we talked about, they will also help regulate your blood sugar levels so that you won't have sugar cravings. You'll feel full, and they have a higher thermo effect on your digestion, which means you actually burn more calories when your body has to process something that is like a chicken or a steak than you do if you eat the protein chips from Quest, right? So let's say you have 100 calories of chicken and you have 100 calories of Quest protein chips, and they're the same macros, right? One's 25 protein, the other's 25 grams of protein. Everything on numbers wise looks the same. However, the quality of that protein is actually going to break down and have a higher thermo effect, which means that you're actually going to burn more calories eating the steak or the chicken because your body will pull more nutrients and work harder to pull more nutrients from that so that your body can use it, versus the lower quality, lower nutrients may not absorb as well and run right through you, right? And not burn as many calories. So make your food burn more calories for you if you want to stay lean. This is why we say stick to a high protein diet. One of the reasons why we say stick to a high protein diet and a higher calorie diet. Lastly, really just helps you also stay lean. So your macros need to be really lean and tight. Keeping your macros diet in will also keep your body composition dialed in just like you need it. Thirdly, we're going to choose nutritionally dense meals. So when we do this, we're looking at high quality proteins, vegetables, starches, fruits, things like that, because they're lower in calorie. So not only will they make you burn more calories with the thermo effect of those foods, but they also will help you making sure that you actually are getting the right nutrients, so you won't have as many hunger cues because your body's absorbing and pulling things it needs, minerals, vitamins, micronutrients. But it'll also help you feel full and not overeat. And then lastly, high fiber foods, something that's really overlooked a lot in nutrition, but extremely important. And that is high fibers help digest, they keep you full longer, and they support weight management. Things like beans, whole grains, vegetables, fruits, they're very beneficial for your digestion. So we encourage just a high fiber rich diet just to make sure that that's very important. And there's also a lot of really good studies on that. Check out our newsletter that's coming out. I write more on this topic in our newsletter. And hopefully this is really good, healthy tips that we just help. If you're having to travel a lot, you have to eat out a lot. These are kind of the 4 key principles to how to live and manage that. Looking at food from a worse to better versus a good and a bad is a better way of not shaming yourself in the understanding and learning how to do a healthy diet for you. But it also is just a way of just getting simple wins, right? If you go from eating less candy and more fruit, right, that you enjoy, and you overindulge in that fruit, it's still a win because you're starting to go from worse to better, right? You're getting more micronutrients out of those grapes than you were out of those Skittles. Is it still okay to have some Skittles on the weekend? Sure, absolutely, especially if it fits in your goals. But we're looking for small wins to help you get better. So if that means that when you're at the airport, you're learning to get an RX bar with a vitamin water with 0 sugar in it, that's way better than eating the Mountain Dew and the chips that we were doing a week ago, right? So that's getting worse to better. And that's all you're trying to do in nutrition as you're trying to reach your goals for whatever that is. So hope this was helpful. We'll continue to bring out good content each week, and looking forward to bringing another one with Connor next week. And we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in.